Welcome back, McFly subscribers. So this is what we're tying today. It's a Perdigon fly that is in a Caddis Pupae style. For this fly, I'm going to be using Flashabou as a ribbing. Here is a black Flashabou version that I will be tying today, and here is one with pearl Flashabou. I will discuss this Flashabou and more about this fly further in the video, but let's go ahead and get started. Place your hook and bead securely in your vise. For the bead and hook today, I'm using Resin's barbless jig hook 9230 in size 14. And Resin's tungsten slotted bead. I chose matte black for the color today, and size 3.5 for an extra heavy fly. By the way, Resin has some great deals on hooks and especially tungsten beads. They have all the normal colors like silver, gold, and black nickel, but also some interesting colors like matte black that I'm using today, olive green, glow in the dark, dirty olive, white, purple, and much more. So make sure you check out their beads because you will not be disappointed in their selection, quality, and prices. And I will talk later in the video about a discount you can get with them. Okay, also we will need 3 different color threads for this fly. For the body I will be using this Vivus 10-aught in olive, and then for the wing case and hot spot I will be using Vivus 6-aught in brown and fluorescent orange. Start with your 10-aught olive thread right behind the bead and snip or snap off the waist. Then bring your thread halfway down the hook bend. For the tail, we will be using Peacock Curl. Pull out 3 pieces from the hank and roughly align the tips. Now the tips are very fragile, so let's clip off the ends about 1 inch down, like so. By the way, these scissors are also made by Resin, and they're really amazing. They are their mitten scissors, and they fit comfortably in the hand and have a super fine tip that allows you to cut materials off closely. Okay, let's tie in this peacock curl with 2 light wraps. And then we can pull them to shorten the tail. I like to see the tail extend about halfway down the hook bend, like so. Now let's go ahead and tie in the herl further down the hook shank with touching wraps covering the herl with our thread. Now this is a flat thread, so I find that it helps to uncord the thread by spinning it counterclockwise. This will flatten it and allow it to cover the herl easier and make a smoother body. I like to tie deep into the bend of the hook, leaving a small little tail on the fly. Once tied in, come back up to about the hook point mark. You can see that the herl is now covered quite well. To remove the waist, just pull rearward on the herl, and it's fragile enough to just pop off. Cover the butt ends and build up the collar area a bit on the fly. Then come back down to about halfway again. Now we need some Flashabou for the ribbing. Here I have some really cool black holographic Flashabou that a subscriber sent me. Hey, thanks Justin. I like to snip off the corner of the plastic so I can select just one strand. By the way, you can use any color Flashabou or crystal flash here. Some colors that I think could work are gold, yellow, and this mirage. You could also use a spooled tinsel in extra small, which is about the same size as the fine Flashabou. Here is the pearl that I used on the pearl version I showed earlier in the video. Before tying in the flash, let's flatten out our thread again as it has corded up a bit. Tie in the flash on top of the hook and tie it back down to the start of the tail. Bring your thread back up and let's flatten the thread once again before coming back down part of the way and back up again to create a taper. Now start making open spiral wraps up the hook shank with the Flashabou. Unfortunately, the thread is a bit slick, so the flash keeps jumping down. And if this happens to you, you can wet the fly with some saliva to help the flash stick a bit easier. Now if you're unhappy with the wraps like I was here, you can back it up and re-wrap. Okay, when you reach your thread, capture it with a wrap over it, and then pull it rearward and make a couple wraps back over it to lock it into place. Then bring your thread all the way up to the bead. Now grab your brown thread and start it right behind the bead. Then pull both the tag end and your olive thread rearward, and tie back a bit to hold the olive thread. Now you can snip off both the brown tag and olive thread. We are now going to build a thorax with the brown thread. Wrap back almost to the hook point mark, maybe about a whole bead length. And you can be the judge on how large you want your thorax. Then come back up, and then go back down once again to build up that area a bit thicker than the abdomen. And then whip finish, and this doesn't have to be more than a couple wrap whip finish. Snip off the excess thread, and then start your orange thread right behind the bead with just 3 wraps. Clip off the waist close, then make 1 wrap over it to cover the tag. And then make a 3 to 4 turn whip finish but end the whip finish on top like so, and then cut off the waste as close as you can. Now I will be using two different resins. Both are Solarez Bone Dry, but one is the clear one and the other is black. Both have a handy paintbrush built into the cap. Start with the clear and brush a thin layer on all sides of the fly, making sure not to get any in the tail. Also, if you are using the matte finish bead, do not get any on the bead or it will not be a matte finish anymore. Once you cure that, let's turn the fly downward to fill the bead cavity. Place a dot of the clear resin inside the bead and then cure it. We will need a couple of these actually, so let's do this again. Now usually 2 is enough, but on this fly for some reason I needed 3. Okay, there we go, the cavity is now filled. So this is so the black resin doesn't get absorbed into the bead cavity. Now for the black. Let's turn it upside down and angle it towards the bead like so. Brush a little on the back of the collar and thorax to form a wing case, and then cure it. Now this won't be super thick, so let's do another coat. Okay, usually 2 is enough, but for some reason this fly is taking more than normal, so I'm going to do a third, but with the fly more flat rather than angled down. Okay, there we go, that looks good to me. Okay, I feel that this needs one more coat of the clear all over to smooth out any rough edges, and this is just for aesthetic purposes. And there we go, the fly is now finished. For me, I think this is a really nice looking fly, and I like the black ribbing, but the clear looks great as well. And it's up to you what you want in this fly. A more defined rib or something more subtle. That's the thing with Perdigons, they aren't any specific pattern, but a style of fly more or less. You can change up materials and colors to make the fly more specific to your needs. In the past few weeks, and for the entire month of January, I tied a few different Perdigons for you all. Last week were these little Midge Perdigons, and the week before was this Frenchy Perdigon, which technically isn't a Perdigon, and we'll discuss that further in the video. On the 19th, I tied this Flashback Perdigon, and on the 2nd, I tied the super flashy Red Flash Perdigon. You can tie them with or without a tail, in any color, without hot spots, or with any color hot spot you want. Use different color threads for different body colors. Use thread, flash, wire, or any other material to create a ribbed abdomen. Or just make a super flashy version where the whole body is wrapped with flash. Simple black wing case, or add a bit of flash to the wing case. Or you can tie multiple of the same fly in different color threads, like this Chartreuse version of the fly that we tied today. So a Perdigon is basically just a fly tied on a jig hook that uses a tungsten slotted bead for extra weight. And then the fly is tied smooth, and usually tied pretty thin, and then coated with a resin to make it slick and sink quickly in the water. And this is why that Frenchy Perdigon is technically not a Perdigon. I used a dubbing for the collar, which will slow down the sink slightly. However, I don't see this as an issue, so get creative and tie your Perdigons any way that you want. Please share with me in the comments section what your favorite Perdigon variations are to tie. And as you've noticed, I've been on a Perdigon kick all this month, and I've tied nothing but Perdigons. And that is because this time of year is when I'm using these heavy weighted nymphs the most to get down deep to where the trout are hiding from the cold weather. I needed to replenish my Perdigon box here, and I'm actually done now. By the way, I am selling these boxes on Amazon with free shipping. They're waterproof and have a silicone back which is self-healing, and it won't get all beat up like the foam back boxes do. Plus, they're ultra thin and fit well in most shirt pockets, or allow you to take multiple boxes with you in your fly pack, organizing each box by fly type, like this Perdigon fly box. Now that I am stocked back up, I will move on to tying small Midge pupa patterns, which I use heavily during February and early spring. From pupas to emergers, February will be the Midge month for my channel. Next week we'll be on a zebra midge and its variations, including the Black Beauty, Foam Emerger, and CDC Emerger. So make sure that you're subscribed and hit that bell notification so you don't miss any videos in the future. By the way, you should all check out my sponsor Resin Fly. They made the hooks, beads, and scissors I use today, which are amazing quality for the cost. Currently, they're selling these tungsten slotted beads for as little as $4.99 per pack, and you get 25 beads in the pack. They're really the best prices I've ever seen on good quality tungsten beads. Not only are their fly tying materials great quality, but they also sell rods and reels as well, all for great prices. And best off, they're offering you all a discount just for being my subscriber. So go to www.risenfly.com and type in McFly at checkout for 15% off your first order with them. Okay, thanks for watching, everyone. If you liked today's video, please hit that like button. I will see you on the next video. Now you go catch some fish.